Assalamu alaikum, dear students. This is your teacher Umara Shaheen. In previous lecture, we learned about nervous system, its three components. Then we identified different parts of the brain using a diagram. We learned about identification, and we also learned about the functions of different parts of your brain. Now, today we will learn about the last part of our nervous system, which are nerves. Nerve cells are sometimes called neurons. ठीक है तो today we will be learning about nerves or neurons. Okay, how does the brain communicate between different parts of your body? Brain send information and that information travels along these specialized cells called nerves, and the specific information which brain sends, this information is called nerve impulse. ठीक है तो sometimes student write the word message from the brain, which is wrong. From now on you would use that the brain send nerve impulse and this nerve impulse travel along neurons or nerves. So today we will be learning about structure of neuron. ठीक है तो our today's topic is structure of neuron. First, in neuron, we can see this is a specialized cell, just like the concept of structure to function adaptation, which we learned in our chapter number 1. We learned about specialized structure of red blood cells, xylem vessels, and root hair cells. Similarly, nerve cell or neuron cell is a specialized kind of cell. So this part of the cell is called cell body. Then these small extensions are called dendrites. Cell body, basically it contains cytoplasm and all the organelles which are necessary for the functioning of the neuron. Then we have dendrite. Dendrites are the small structures which collect information coming from the other cell. Then we have this elongated part of the neuron. This elongated part is called axon. AXON, information which is collected from dendrite. Okay, then it moves along the axon. You can see a structure covering the neuron, and this is a specific chemical. Name of that chemical is myelin, myelin, myelin sheath. This is actually providing insulation to axon. If I hope all of you can recall the topic of nutrition. In nutrition, when we were learning about the significance of lipids, so we also learned that they provide electrical insulation to the nerves or neurons. So here at that time I said we will be learning about this insulation in detail in chapter number 11. So here today we saw that the lipids, myelin is a kind of lipid. It provides insulation to the axon, to the nerve cells. Then you can see that there are some gaps between these myelin sheaths. These are termed as nodes of Ranvier. Now they also have specific function. As we learned in the start of the lecture, that nerve impulse travels along the neuron. So in case when there are situations in which nerve impulse have to travel faster, in those situations instead of moving along the axon, nerve impulse it actually jumps between node of Ranvier so that a quicker action can take place. So at the end of the axon we have small structures which are called end plates. Now here you can see that there's not just one neuron, there are multiple neurons. There are millions of the neurons, and how they are connected. Actually, you can see that there's a small gap. When one neuron ends and another one starts, there's a small gap. There's a term used for this gap, and that term is synapse. The gap between two neurons is actually termed synapse. So how does this nerve impulse move along the synapse? There's a specific mechanism. The detail of that mechanism is not the part of our Cambridge syllabus. Still, थोड़ा सा बेटा मैं आपको इसके बारे में गाइड कर देती हूँ ताकि आपकी कन्फ्यूजन जो है वो ख़त्म हो जाए. एक्चुअली द नर्व इम्पल्स इज़ कैरीड बाय स्पेसिफिक केमिकल्स एंड दोज केमिकल्स आर कॉल्ड न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर्स. अब न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर्स क्या हैं हमें उसकी डिटेल की ज़रूरत नहीं है. दोज आर नॉट द पार्ट ऑफ आवर कैम्ब्रिज सिलेबस, बट इट इज़ अनफ इफ़ यू लर्न दैट द गैप बिटवीन टू न्यूरॉन्स, दिस गैप इज़ कॉल्ड synapse, And neurotransmitters are the chemicals which help the transmission of nerve impulse from one neuron to the other neuron. Neurotransmitters are released between the gap and then they shift to the other neuron, and this is how impulse is transmitted. ठीक है, तो बेटे दिस वॉज ऑल अबाउट द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ अ न्यूरॉन. दिस इज सिंपलर structure. Let's have a recap. There's a cell body, then there's a nucleus which is controlling the function of the entire neuron, then we have dendrites which collect the information from other cells, then we have an elongated portion. That elongated portion is called axon. Axon is covered with a specific lipid based chemical. The name of that chemical is myelin, which actually provide electrical insulation. Now what is the purpose of this electrical insulation? Actually here I'm going to show you a diagram which will reveal that how many nerve cells are there. See, in this diagram you can see the diagram that I made over here. This is just a single line. You can see there are thousands of neurons are over there, and all neurons they have their own nerve impulses. So in order to avoid the mixing of the signals or nerve impulses, they are protected with the help of a specific sheet called myelin sheath. ठीक है, fatty sheath made up of myelin. This is another diagram. This is from another book. I'll be sending you the picture of this diagram in the WhatsApp group. ठीक है, or you can use the diagram from your own book as well. This one is the simpler one. See, so this is all that we learned about the structure of neuron. Actually actually you can see that in learning outcome there is no specific learning outcome about the structure of the neuron, but this is very important that you learn the structure of the neuron because it is required in the next learning outcome, which is the types of neuron. ठीक है, we just learned about one type, and that type is called motor neuron. Total there are 3 types of neuron that we will be studying in our today's lecture. First one that we studied, it was motor neuron. The second neuron that we are going to study today, it is sensory neuron. Entire structure is same. There is only one difference, that here in case of motor neuron the cell body was located at one end, then there was axon and end plates. But in case of sensory neuron, you can see that the cell body is in the center. ठीक है, and there are axons and at the both sides and end plates at the both sides. And the third type of neuron is your connector neuron. Sometimes it is also referred as relay neuron, and sometimes the word intermediate neuron is also used. ठीक है, so these are 3 types of neurons. Today we just learned about the structures of these neurons. Our next lecture will be about the topic called reflex action, and all these 3 neurons, we will learn about these 3 neurons with respect to our new topic, that is reflex action. Dear students, this is all from today's lecture. I hope you understand it. Please watch this video carefully, and if you have any queries, so I can answer your queries in the WhatsApp group. Directly ask me, and I have sent your assignments in the group as well. Please solve those questions and then get back in the group. If you have any queries, we will discuss those queries in the group. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.